Close your eyes for a moment and imagine a quiet office filled with clacking typewriters, stacks of secret documents, and rows of young women bending over cryptic messages, messages that could change the course of the war. There are no guns here, no tanks, no explosions. And yet, what happens in this room will save thousands of lives. These are the women codebreakers of World War II. Women whose brilliance, discipline, and perseverance helped defeat enemy forces, shorten the war, and reshape intelligence forever. For decades, their work was classified, their names forgotten, their achievements hidden behind walls of secrecy. Today, their story finally comes to light. In the 1930s, most women in America and Britain were expected to become teachers, nurses, or homemakers. Few imagined themselves as mathematicians, linguists, or intelligence analysts. But when war approached, governments realized they needed minds, sharp minds, to tackle a challenge more complex than any battlefield: breaking enemy codes. The U.S. Navy sent recruiters to women's colleges across the country, quietly asking professors, "Do you have any girls who are good at puzzles, mathematics, languages?" The professors knew exactly whom to recommend: the brightest, most disciplined young women on campus, women who were underestimated simply because of their gender. They didn't know it yet, but they were about to become part of one of the most important intelligence operations in history. The recruitment process was strange. Women described being handed a small envelope on campus with a note inside. "Would you be interested in a position that is vital to national security? Do not discuss this with anyone." Some thought it was a mistake. Others thought it was a joke. But those who showed up to the interview faced questions like, "Do you enjoy crosswords? Can you recognize patterns quickly? Do you speak another language? Can you keep secrets?" Those last four words, "Can you keep secrets?" would define the next several years of their lives. Most couldn't even tell their families what they were doing. They simply said, "I got a government job." No details, no questions. Everything was confidential. These women were sent to places like Bletchley Park in the UK, Arlington Hall in Virginia, Naval Communications Annex in Washington, D.C. From the outside, these locations looked ordinary. Inside, they were buzzing with activity 24 hours a day. Rooms filled with intercepted Japanese messages, encrypted German transmissions, complex codes with thousands of possible combinations, machines humming as they attempted to reveal enemy secrets. The women weren't given weapons. They were given pencils, typewriters, and cipher sheets. But make no mistake, this was war, and every message mattered. Enemy nations believed their codes were impossible to break. The Japanese used a system called Purple. The Germans trusted the now famous Enigma machine. Both were considered unbreakable. But the women codebreakers had something their enemies underestimated: discipline, teamwork, creativity, and incredible pattern recognition. Some had backgrounds in mathematics, physics, linguistics, statistics, classical languages, even music, because music teaches rhythm and pattern. Working in small teams, they analyzed thousands of intercepted messages every day. They looked for repeated phrases, unusual spacing, similar beginnings, consistent endings, hidden structures. Slowly, painfully, brilliantly, they began to crack the codes. It was one of the greatest intellectual achievements of the 20th century, and most of it was done by women. The work was exhausting. Shifts ran around the clock, morning, evening, midnight. Messages poured in nonstop. Every message had to be translated, analyzed, and forwarded to military commanders within hours. The rooms were hot. The air smelled like ink and machine oil. Typewriters clacked nonstop. Coffee cups piled up on desks. Yet most women said the same thing: "I felt like I was doing something that truly mattered." They couldn't tell their families what they did. They couldn't talk about it with friends. They couldn't write about it in letters. But inside those rooms, they found purpose and sisterhood. Women who might never have met in ordinary life became warriors together. Across the Atlantic in Britain, thousands of women worked at Bletchley Park, the legendary code-breaking center. They operated machines called bombs, designed by Alan Turing and others, that searched through endless combinations of Enigma settings. Most of the machine operators were women in their teens or early 20s. One recalled, "We didn't fully understand the math behind the machines, but we understood the mission. Every turn of the wheel could save lives." These women processed millions of enemy messages. Their work helped the Allies track German U-boats, plan the D-Day invasion, decode strategies in North Africa, anticipate air raids. Winston Churchill later said, "The codebreakers shortened the war by at least 2 years." He did not mention that 3/4 of those codebreakers were women. While the British focused on Germany, American women targeted Japanese communications. At Arlington Hall, female cryptanalysts solved the famous Purple Code, the code used by Japanese diplomats. It was such a breakthrough that one general said, "Purple was more important than the atomic bomb in ending the war." These women also helped intercept and decode messages that revealed Japanese supply routes. This intel allowed U.S. submarines to destroy enemy convoys, cutting off critical resources. Every message decoded was another step toward victory. Despite their crucial role, women codebreakers faced challenges. Lower pay than men, dismissed as girls by male officers, long hours with little rest, emotional strain from reading enemy battle plans, zero recognition during the war. Some suffered exhaustion. Some cried quietly during breaks. Some carried guilt when decoded messages predicted battles with heavy casualties. They saw everything, knew everything, but could not speak about any of it. One woman said, "The hardest part wasn't the work. It was the silence." In 1944, as the Allies prepared for the biggest military invasion in history, the work of women codebreakers became more intense than ever. They intercepted German messages describing troop movements, fortifications, and supply lines. They decoded weather reports. They monitored every signal coming from Normandy. Their intelligence was so precise that one general said, "We knew what the Germans would do before they did." When Allied troops landed on D-Day, thousands of soldiers survived because of information that came from women working in small, crowded rooms far from the battlefield. They were not on the beach, but they shaped every part of the invasion. When the war ended in 1945, most women expected recognition. A medal, a letter, a thank you. Instead, they were told, "Keep everything secret. Tell no one, not your husband, not your children, not your friends." And so they returned home. Many married. Many raised families. Many worked ordinary jobs. But inside them lived incredible stories they could never share. For decades, their contribution remained hidden behind classified documents. Some women died without ever being recognized. Others lived long enough to witness the truth finally revealed. Today, historians, governments, and intelligence agencies recognize what these women accomplished. They cracked codes thought to be unbreakable. They shortened the war. They saved thousands of lives. They changed military intelligence forever. They paved the way for future generations of women in cybersecurity, mathematics, and national defense. Many modern code breakers, men and women, say they were inspired by these World War II pioneers. Their story matters because it shows something powerful. You don't need a weapon to be a hero. You don't need a battlefield to fight. You don't need recognition to make history. Sometimes the greatest warriors are the ones no one sees. The ones sitting in silent rooms, turning chaos into clarity. The ones who work in shadows to bring light. And now, Finally, their voices can be heard.